Welcome to TarValon Talks. This is part 1 of our Ajah's Takeover episode. Please stay tuned while our hosts Dianna and Fenya take turns talking to members from the yellow, brown, red, and gray Ajahs.
Thank you for coming back to the TarValon Talks podcast. I am Dianna. I am here as part of our Ajah takeover with Ignis of the Yellow Ajah. Welcome, Ignis. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
We're so thrilled to have you. Can you tell our listeners how long you've been part of Yellow and, maybe why you joined?
I was officially raised in 2021. And so, I've been full Aes Sedai since then. I joined. It's kind of strange. I didn't actually think I was going to join the Yellow Ajah. I went through my guesting and I picked the blue, which I thought I was going to pick. And then I picked the yellow and I kind of did those together. And both were great Ajahs. I'm not dashing the blue or anything like that. They're great people over there as well. But I went into their sitting room and I'm like, okay, this is it. It just felt home. So that's kind of why I joined. I felt like we kind of people who like to fix broken things. And I kind of felt like I fit in real well.
That's awesome. I have heard that experience happen from multiple different Aes Sedai. Like they thought they were going to go one place, started guesting, and just found a home in a different place. I think it's really interesting that that can happen for so many people. That actually also happened for me. I'm an aspirant now, and I also went in thinking I was going to go into one Ajah. I was dead sure, and then joined a couple of different others in my guesting period and found home in a different Ajah. And so I think it's really interesting how that can happen for so many people. You mentioned a little bit that Yellow is a place where people like to fix broken things. What makes your Ajah unique?
Some of the kindest people I have met have been a part of this Ajah. And that's, again, kind people everywhere. But they're just amazingly kind people, and they don't like to see people hurting to a point that they feel compelled to do something about it. I think I've seen that in almost every other yellow person I've met. Some of us take to that in a very literal way. We do have a nurse who's a member of our Ajah. I'm a member of my local EMS system. So, some of us actually do work in the healthcare field and actually do work with broken people. But some of us look for different ways to do that. Sometimes through humor, sometimes through, food, sometimes for just taking care of other people and showing them that they have a place that they're welcome no matter what.
That's so beautiful. I'm so glad we have a community like that at TarValon.net. I mean, of course, everyone at TarValon.net, everyone embodies some level of kindness, but it's so nice to hear that we have a group that's really dedicated to like making sure people are like happy and whole and feel at home. Like that's so lovely. I think the yellows, at least in my opinion, in the book, kind of embody a little bit of that. But how does yellow on the site differ from the yellow Ajah in the books?
Well, Yellow Ajah in the books is very medically oriented. They're very focused on that healing aspect. Our healing aspect does not just take place, though, in the body, but in the mind and spirit. And I think in the books that does happen as much. It's just not as front forward, but some of us, maybe squeamish, don't want anything to do with that type of healing that they kind of do in the books. So I think that'd be the big difference is the literal versus the more metaphysical way of healing that we're kind of discussing.
Got it. You guys are kind of also the therapist Ajah in a way, like you're saying.
Yeah.
They really needed that in the books. They really could have used that, especially Rand. So it's too bad they didn't have the tower version of Yellow in the books. If the Yellow Ajah on TarValon.net had a mascot, what would it be?
Oh, something fluffy for sure. We all love animals, I think, in some aspect. I know one of us has guinea pigs, one of us raises chickens. We have cats here, some of us have dogs. I think we all see the value in animal companions. I don't think I could put it down to one particular mascot. At least if it was an animal. If we go kind of more towards inanimate objects, we have a love for tea. So maybe a teacup mascot would be kind of a good representation for us.
I feel like tea is very healing, very soothing.
Yeah.
I could totally see tea. I will say that the guinea pigs to me are iconic yellow, but that's because I interact a lot with the guinea pig owner in yellow. So if this is not secret knowledge, if this is secret, then by all means say that I can't talk about that. But what traditions are unique to yellow?
I don't know. We're kind of in a we do have an active presence. We do have people who are there and who are talking. I don't know that I'm always as active enough to be involved in those traditions as well. I do remember the last time we had our anniversary party, it was a question of what's going to be our drink at our toast. So maybe that started a new tradition. It ended up being Malibu pineapples.
Oh, yum. A yellow drink.
Yeah, I recommended that because it was a yellow drink, and that's what we ended up using. So
that sounds delicious. I love anything pineapple flavored, so that sounds awesome. You mentioned Annie. What is your favorite event that you've ever attended with the Yellow?
I've gone to an Annie party and I've gone to Spring Fling. And I actually really enjoyed Spring Fling more, but that's my introverted nature saying there's a lot less people here. I feel like I could be more involved and it's not scary. So yeah, it was, I enjoyed Spring Fling a lot. Spring Fling was also very close to my home. So, I wasn't dealing with a plane and that always makes me grumpy. So
in this day and age, who can blame you?
Yeah.
What did you like about Spring Fling?
And it's not that Annie's not welcoming. It's just because it's a smaller gathering that introvert in me says this is a more welcome place for me to be. So it was a lot easier for me to kind of go someplace and sit by people and talk with them. Whereas before I was like, I would go someplace, I'd sit by people and look at them weirdly because I didn't know what to say and I wasn't sure what to say. Part of that was also I had gone to anniversary before, so I had already met some of these people too. But yeah, it'd be the size difference that was a good idea for me. But we're going to try Annie again this year. So
awesome. And Annie this year is in Illinois, right?
It is.
It is. It is. I'm hoping to attend. I've never gone to Annie or Spring Fling, so fingers crossed that I'll be able to make it to an event this year. Or I should say, actually, why are you proud to be part of Yellow?
They're just great people to be around, and that's it. I bet everybody tells you they're a family, and I'm going to say it too. I'm proud to be a part of this family. I have a couple yellows that I kind of keep in contact with, like they're on my cell phone, not just on like Discord or anything like that. And I'll keep in contact with them. And knowing that that's somebody I can go to talk about things that maybe I can't talk about with my wife, or having that person to talk to that I need to talk to.
That's really lovely. I do love that, yeah, you're not wrong. I have heard, they're a family from a lot of the Ajahs, certainly while I was guesting, but I love that people find their families, they find their homes in each Ajah, and I love that you found yours in Yellow. You've been there for 3 years now, so that's wonderful, and I have a feeling you're planning on staying there forever?
Yeah, I have no desires to leave.
If you could pitch anybody on Yellow, how would you pitch Yellow to someone?
Come in, have a cup of tea, and tell us what you want to tell us. It could be how great of a day you're having. It could be how bad of a day you're having. It could be anything. There will be somebody there to listen to you attentively, join in the conversation if that is what you want. You'll find somebody who will suit whatever you need to say in this group.
That's beautiful. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for being a part of Yellow, and for representing Yellow on the podcast, Ignis. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you at a future event.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Brown Ajah takeover of TarValon Talks. I'm your host, Fenya, and I'm here with Dieda of the Brown Ajah. Dieda, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
So before we get started, could you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you joined TarValon, how long you've been here, things like that?
Okay. Well, it's a funny story. I joined like 21 years ago, I think. Yeah, we've been around for a while. I was 21 at the time. I was living in Norway alone. I mean, I was very lonely. And so I started reading Wheel of Time, and I wanted to be an Aes Sedai, obviously, and I found the site. And then it literally took over my life for like a year, maybe, or something. And so on and off, I was here, I would leave, and then I would come back. But I was an eternal novice. I was novice for, I think, for 10 years. At least, yeah, about 10 years. I was a little bit scared to take the test. But that wasn't the main problem. I just liked being a novice and I don't really like change. So I was pretty happy to be a novice for 10 years. And then I became accepted, I guested, and I picked brown. It was all regular apart from my eternal novicehood.
So you said that you spent 10 years as a novice. How long have you been a member of the Brown Ajah?
For 10 years, I think, since I was raised in 2014, I think. So about 10 years.
If it was 2014, that's 10 years exactly at this point. Well, depending on when.
Yeah, but I've been away for long periods of time.
As one does.
Yeah.
So what would you say makes the Brown Ajah unique?
That's a really good question. I would say our unique trait is our direct communication style. Basically, we are not very tactful and we say what we mean, which is one of the main reasons I picked brown, which I can tell you a bit about later. It's a bit of a funny story. So there's that direct communication style. There are our interests, because all of us are very passionate about our own special interests, whatever they are. Also, we are science positive, science oriented, which I really appreciate. It makes me feel safe in that kind of surrounding. And I can say we love books. We do love books, but I do not think that's particularly unique at the Wheel of Time website. So yeah.
Yeah, to some extent, we're all here because we love books, I suppose.
Of course.
How would you say that the Brown Ajah differs on TarValon.net differs from the Brown Ajah in the Wheel of Time books?
First of all, we are not always frumpy, only sometimes. We can be if we want to, but we also clean up really nice. I would also say that we are more social than the book Ajah. And we are scatterbrained, but we might be a tad less book-oriented than the book Ajah. So a bit more open to the real life experiences. We don't live in a library.
And what would your mascot be if the Brown Ajah had a mascot?
We do have a mascot. We have Ferdinand. It's a brown rabbit. We have Ferdinand. He's been a part of the Ajah for a very long time. He has traveled the world. He has been in a lot of countries. Traditionally, he changes hands at real life events. So he's a globetrotter. Basically, brown mascot is a dust bunny because of the libraries and stuff. But at some point, he became a real stuffed bunny. I don't know how that happened. I have no idea.
I mean, I imagine it's hard to find a stuffed dust bunny.
Yeah.
A stuffed bunny is easier.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you have your mascot Ferdinand, and you mentioned that Ferdinand travels all over the globe with the various members of the Brown Ajah.
Yes.
What other traditions do you have that are unique to the Brown Ajah?
We send a brown journal to our accepted. So when someone aspires to brown, somebody sends them a nice journal that you're supposed to bring to real life events and have other browns write in it. Or you can just use it for whatever you want. Of course, I used mine as a book journal because I didn't expect I would ever meet any browns in real life. And when somebody gets praised, one of us sends them a shawl. And I do know that we have brown toasts at real life events, but I've never been to a brown toast. I've only met one brown in real life, and it was for lunch, so no toast.
that kind of answers my next question, which was what's your favorite event that you've attended with your Ajah? But it sounds like it's just been the one lunch, so that is de facto your favorite.
That's definitely my favorite event. Yeah. I kind of live out of the way, so it's a bit expensive to travel.
Yeah, it certainly can be. So, for the last question, why are you proud to be part of the Brown Ajah?
I'm really proud of our communication style, which I mentioned earlier. It's extremely important to me that we say what we mean, that we are always real, that we don't lie to each other, we are not false with each other. What I wanted to tell you was when I was just a novice and I asked like a humorous question in general that was actually a real question about relationships, I guess. And Zasha and Serenla gave me such real, great, a bit harsh maybe answers that I just I knew I wanted to hear more advice from these people. I need things to be real. I need my friends to be real, and I think that my Browns are my real friends. I'm really happy to have them in my life.
Awesome.
Hello and welcome to another Ajah interview. I am Dianna here with Ajailyn Sedai and Catt Sedai of the Red Ajah. Thank you for joining me today. Can I have you guys introduce yourselves to our listeners?
I am Ajailyn. I also go by Ajah. It'll be 9 years since I was fully raised this year, fully raised to red this March.
Amazing. And Catt, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Catt Hackathorn, and I've been a member of the Red Ajahs since December 2023, so not too long, only a couple of months at this point. But I've came to Red from previously the White Ajah and before that the Brown Ajah.
Wow. So you've had a bunch of different Ajah experiences. That's amazing. Very cool. I'm so glad to have someone who has been in Red for a while, as well as someone who is new to Red here to provide our listeners with a bunch of different perspectives. And I would love to get your guys' opinions on all of the questions I'm going to ask today. So our first question is, what makes your Ajah unique? And Catt, I'll go ahead and start with you.
I guess that for me, one of the things that really drew me to Red in the fact that I did not see this with any other Ajah is just how very accepting they are. One of the things that really impressed me with Red the most when I first started guesting is that they made it absolutely crystal clear that they were welcoming me as a DID system. I have a disorder called dissociative identity disorder, and none of the other Ajahs were willing to work with that. Red was the only one that was willing to. And I think that that's a really unique way of looking at things in the broader picture, because you're looking at an individual with all of their quirks when you're guesting with the various community groups. And it is so, so rare to find a group like that that is willing to bend over backwards for you from day one. You have to prove yourself, not the other way around.
That's so beautiful. I'm so glad that you were able to, that Red was the community that you found that was accepting and met you as you. I love that. Ajailyn, what about for you? What do you think makes Red unique?
Well, I guess it's going to be a very similar answer. I too came from a different Ajah first. I was Gray first. I chose Gray for the friends I made at the time. And as Ajah shift and change, that if friends don't stay, it feels different. So when I came to Red, I fully expected to go to White because of the friends I'd made again. And I chose to guess Red first. And then White was last because that's where I thought I was going to go home to. And then when I got to White, even though I had really good friends there, still have friends that are White, even if they're inactive, I still keep up with their daily lives. I just found Red, like Catt said, to be accepting of who I am. I had known at the time I was bipolar. I joined the site knowing I was bipolar, and as a mood disorder, you struggle to have people understand that it's not necessarily who you are. So it's what you have, and it does cause social problems. Red accepted me exactly as I am, my over-direct bluntness, sometimes my crassness, sometimes to react emotionally before I've thought things through, but then they always let me come back and be like, yeah, okay, that wasn't appropriate. Can I say something. They've also been through the journey with me on my autism as well, my diagnosis and all of that. So I would say that red lets you be exactly who you are. They make you choose if you're red or not. Not if you ask, how do I know if I'm a red? The answer will always be, you'll know. We don't tell you the things that make you red. You decide that you're red. And then when you decide that, we completely welcome you home. And that's, I think, is a lot different from other groups that I've found.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way that you were both describing red on the site. I guested with red, ultimately did not choose to aspire there, but did love my time in red and was thrilled to guest there, because I think that more than any other Ajah, certainly as what I've experienced is from the outside looking in, that red differs from the book version. Red on the site is so different than the book version of red. You're both nodding. Can you both speak to how exactly red is different on TarValon.net than in the books?
We like boys.
We don't think that.
Right. A lot of us are partnered with men or have children who are boys, or like family that are men or that we're very close to. We even have male brothers. I believe that we were one of the first, we were the first when we integrated, didn't matter what gender you were, to aspire to company or Ajahs. I think we had the first aspirant, and I think we may have raised ours first. I don't know. White may have raised theirs before ours. And the one who did go white almost went red as well. So it was like we prove we aren't men haters. Even though we like to stick to that stereotype as a joke, we like boys. We like boys.
And I'm going to play off Asia's answer in that we are allowed to have bond mates. And really, kind of funnily, my mortar and I were one of the first same-sex bonded couples on the site, Dianna and myself. I believe we were number 3 overall. And weirdly, it was that same number when I aspired and ultimately was raised. We were the third bonded couple in red.
That's funny. Red only is allowed one bond mate, though, right?
Sadly, yes.
Unless it's the same thing where if you've done a lot for the site or been around for a while, then you get additional bond mates. But yeah, so starting with 1. But that's 1 is a lot more than 0.
Yes.
Yes.
It is infinitely more than 0. So I will say that I also think that red is much less insular on the site than in the books. I feel like red in the books is very like, we are red and we keep all of our secrets and we share with nobody and we don't trust anybody. Whereas in my experience with red on the site is red is active, red is out there, red is like, we're going to be pushing, for change and for positive growth on the site. I really appreciate that about your guys' Ajah, that you're really pushing for change and pushing for positive change, and not just, like sitting back in your corner and being like, no, our way is the correct way to do things and we don't care what anybody else is doing. Like red is not a closed group on the site, which I love. If your Ajah had a mascot, what would your mascot be?
Right now I think our biggest mascot would be the cone.
Mm-hmm.
The cone.
The cone.
Along with Aspect.
Yeah.
Goodness. Is there an animal or some sort of like creature that would stand for that?
Do we have an animal?
Cats, but that's about 90% of the site.
It's true.
Right, because we're all readers on top of it. I would probably say were creatures.
I love that.
There's an inside red joke on that since this is going to be more public than just the site. Come join the site. Come raise the ranks. Come guess with red. Come find out what the were creatures are about with red.
Oh, I love that little tease, a little incentive for people who are curious. I love that. Yes, this is public for more than just people who are on the site. So this next question, feel free to be as open or as closed as you would like to be. What traditions are unique to red?
They've changed a little bit over the years as we've grown. We originally started with what they called red roses. The first time you meet a red, you give a gift that's red in color to a red you're meeting for the first time. So the first time I met the reds in once I was aspired in Georgia, I took these like shotgun. They're like look like shotgun. They're shaped like shotgun, but they're glass with metal bottoms. Shot glasses to toast with. But now we have our beads that I absolutely love. We have like not that anybody can see them, but I'll show them to you, Dianna. We have the acorn that represents the on the bottom that represents the flag, and then moving up positions, like how long we've been a red, any positions we've held, including the cat one for a sitter. Yay, cats. And then each different red has a bead charm that represents her that they found. And that when we meet each other, we exchange those. So we kind of narrowed the red rose gift down to a particular object. And I really like that. I don't mean to talk more than Catt, but I also like the fact that when we raise it's now become even online because of COVID, but when we raise a sister live, we always make a shawl, but it's custom to them. We don't do the traditional same Ajah shawl, like it'll be the red with the fringe, but we always make sure like the inside and outside patterns match each person. I'm just a little sad that we didn't do it for non-live raisings when I was raised. It was only live, but now we do it for everybody. We have a little bit more seamstresses, so we can do it for every red that comes in.
That's so cool. Catt, what about you? What are some traditions that are unique to Red?
So I haven't really been there that long, but some of the ones that I've definitely encountered are the beads and the safety cone, which is an inside joke, and then the shawl, which was just a really meaningful gift that I was given when I was raised, and that was given to me by my warder, so it was really special. And I think that now with COVID giving more credence to real life online events, just being able to bring in certain people from the site that are meaningful to the aspirant being raised and having them there to either give you your shawl in person, like what Red was able to do with today, which was really, really special, or just being able to. I guess I'm just rambling at this point, just because I haven't been there that long.
Rambling is a podcast must.
We also have one that I don't think a lot of people are aware of because a lot of other people pick up mistress titles, but it actually originated with the Reds in the fact that we become mistress of something. And it's usually an inside joke or something happens that causes it. Like, I'm mistress of autocorrect because no matter what, how careful I am, my autocorrect changes my words. And so I'm constantly telling everybody, oh, I'm losing the fight with my autocorrect today. So now I'm mistress of autocorrect. It wasn't even something I wanted to be mistress of, but that's how we just get them. It's just something that comes about. And that's another tradition is that when it sticks, and that's your mistress. But it just sometimes takes time, or sometimes it's right away, but you become a mistress of something within the Reds.
That's hilarious. I love that. What is your favorite event that you've attended with Red?
Oh gosh. The spamathons have definitely been up there, but I have to be biased and say that my raising right now today is my favorite event. Just because of all the care and the planning and making sure that they were crystal clear that they were raising me as a system to the Ajah. It wasn't just a singular person they were raising. And then planning behind my back with my border on it. So I think that was definitely that's definitely been my favorite event that I've personally attended outside the spamathons.
That's beautiful. And the spamathons, correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all won spamathon?
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't participate.
So I have a terrible tradition where I participate super actively on the site up to the week before any like Beltane or any big event, and then I am not there for the week of the big event. I am just not present at all in any way, shape, or form. And then I come back the week after. I don't know why. That's what I've done for the last 2 years. So I'm always a little bit leery, but I feel like I thought you guys at least did very well from what I remember.
Yeah, I know that we've won a couple. I don't remember if we won the last one or not.
Me either. I know we've won a couple. Like we had an award for one of them, and I don't know if that was the last one or the one before that, or even the one before that. So
Hopefully I'm right. If not, I'm sure Doll will correct me. And then what about you, Ajailyn? What's your favorite event that you've attended with Red?
I'm gonna say the 3 raisings we had in Tennessee, Annie, because we have a tradition for the baby Reds. If you want to participate, especially at live events, we get a bottle, we get a pacifier, we get a bib. And this is all, up to your consent, of course. But when we know that you consent to it, it's kind of sneaky to find out like what kind of things that you want with it. Or so I like getting the baby things because I usually I find bottles that match the personalities or things like that. And I had found this set of 3 bottles for 3 people for a good price, and I had to see like what animal they each wanted on it, and I have to ask these things without giving any suspicion. So I like, not my own raising, I like, my favorite part of being a Red is raising my sisters coming to us. So getting the sneakiness, making sure it fits their personalities, like Catt said with her systems. We're very conscious of the person we're raising, and I love all of that secrecy and pulling it off. I love the feeling of pulling it off.
That's so fun to have a secret plan behind the back of someone who you really care about, and like seeing their reaction when you pull it off. Like it's so beautiful. It's so cool. I love that.
Having been on the receiving end of that, with all the questions that do get asked, like how tall are you for the shawl, that sort of thing. Sometimes if you're really good at reading between the lines, you know what's coming.
Yeah, sometimes we don't always pull it off to the best, but I think we did pretty good at Tennessee. Some of our online ones are a little bit harder to pull off without suspicion because we have to mail packages, and including if they do baby stuff. If they don't do baby Red stuff, we do send gifts anyways. So we do gift all of our new sisters gifts as they come in too. So it's one of my favorite things, absolute favorite things, is raisings.
That's awesome. Well, and our last question, but probably my favorite question of our interviews, is why are you proud to be part of your Ajah?
It has to go back to what Ajah and I both touched on at the beginning, where Red is very clear that they're person-centric when it comes to accepting new people in. It's not the other way around, where the new person has to prove themselves to the Ajah, which unfortunately does happen or has happened in my experience, rather. I guess that's just my favorite thing about it. They're willing to sit with you through stuff, and I think I described Red at one point as being a snuggle pile when you need it, but also they're ready with the knives if you need it.
I love that. And a true like siblinghood, like brotherhood, sisterhood, siblinghood of just, they're gonna be there to like hug you and hold you if that's what you need. Gonna be there to fight if that's what you need. I love that, to have a whole group of people at your back. It's so powerful.
I've also experienced in other Ajahs where sometimes when you're having weird stuff going on, they almost coddle you like you're going to break, but I don't experience that with Red at all.
That's great. That's amazing. What about you, Ajailyn? Why are you proud to be Red?
Before I answer that question, I want to add to what Catt said about that is, as Red, we are very much, if you need a hug, we'll give you a hug. If you need a hand up, we'll give you a hand up. But if we see that you need to be pushed off your butt, do something appropriate, we're gonna let you know. We don't coddle. We're all adults. We treat you like adults. We don't treat you like you're stupid. We know you know yourself. We'll support you when you need the support, either in a way of compassion or, hey, you know what? That doesn't sound quite right. Did you think about it from this angle? So that's definitely something I feel is very Red. One of the things that makes me proud to be a Red is the fact that because you choose red. Red doesn't choose you. We're very clear on that. Like Catherine said, I kept telling her, but how do I know? She's like, you'll know. She knew I already knew, but she would not tell me. She let me come into it on my own. And because of that, when you choose us, we accept you. So when we accept you, we will go to bat for you. You'll often see, this is why we're so great with spam, even with maybe only a third of us actually participating in it. We will go to bat when there's discussions and we see that somebody may have misinterpreted one of our sisters in the discussion threads. We'll come out and force and be like, hey, no, that's not okay. We go to bat for each other really consistently, really, really consistently. And that's I think something about us that is a true brother sisterhood than I've seen from other Ajahs that I guested through. It was you choose us and we accept you when you do. So that's a big difference.
Yeah, that's huge to know that, like, you made the choice. You are here because you want to be, and now that you want to be, like, we are behind you whole-throatedly, with our whole chest, our whole personhood. I love that. I love that. All right, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Ajailyn Sedai, Catt Sedai, for joining us today and for talking a little bit more about Red. I had a ton of fun learning more about Red and hearing what y'all had to say, because it is. I don't like to, as an accepted, I don't like to like pick favorites of Najah. Not that it really matters because I'm accepted. But Red was one of my favorite places to guest. There's so many Reds who I just absolutely adore. Ultimately ended up not choosing Red for myself because, like you said, it is you choose it, and it ultimately just didn't feel correct for me. But I was like kind of devastated when it didn't feel correct, because I was like, I love so many people in Red. You guys are such a wonderful Ajah, really doing amazing things on the site and for the site and for each other. So great to talk to both of y'all today. Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Just thank you for having us. And if you get the chance to guest through and join the site, definitely make sure not to skip us.
Absolutely.
Yes, agreed. Don't skip Red. They're not scary. They're actually quite wonderful.
Hello, and welcome to the Gray Ajah takeover of TarValon Talks. I'm your host, Fenya, and I'm here with Arinna and Siera of the Gray Ajah. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us. This is very exciting.
Before we start with a couple of questions that I have for you guys, why don't you introduce yourselves? Siera, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Siera. I've been in Gray for so long that I couldn't tell you when I joined. 2011. I'm currently the director of marketing. I'm a dog lover. I have 2 dogs that I love. I am a graphic designer for work, and I like to read, obviously.
And how did you find TarValon.net? What led you to the site?
So back in high school, I was in grade 9. Oh, and actually grade 8. My friend introduced me to the books, and then she had found the site. I think it was in one of the books that she found. The site was written about, or like not advertised, but it was in one of like the footnotes or something. And so she joined, and she's like, "Hey, you should join with me." And she's since gone inactive, and I'm still here.
Awesome. And Arinna?
Yeah, hi, I'm Arinna. I am, especially in comparison to Siera, a quite new Gray. I was raised to Aes Sedai in 2022 at Annie. It was live. It was very fun, and I was very surprised. Yeah, I just really love TarValon.net. I have a lot of fun with all of that. And I am a biochemist outside of the internet. And around the tower, I am the head of the fitness guild, and I recently became the servant of all coordinator. So, yeah, I don't know. That's what I got.
And how did you come to the site?
So I've been reading the books for a very long time, since probably like 1996. I was a wee lass at that time, but yet somehow I like never really got into the online fandom all that much. Everything I found seemed to be sort of like RP based. I'm not really a great role player. That was never really my thing. So I just kind of, sat at home and read the books myself. And when the show started coming out and had announced that, oh, there's going to be a television show about the Wheel of Time, I knew that if I tried to only talk about the show with my husband, who has never read the books, that probably wouldn't be great for my marriage. So I needed to locate other nerds with whom I could discuss the show. And so I, did a Google and eventually came across TarValon.net, and here I am.
Indeed. Well, I'm very happy that both of you are here. I'm much newer than either of you, but you're both wonderful and I love you, and you are not allowed to leave.
Neither are you.
Good. No plans on leaving from any of us. So what would you say makes the Gray Ajah on the site unique?
Siera, did you want to start as our more venerable Gray of those of us here today?
Gosh, I don't even know. Like, it's been so long since I've guested with the other groups. I never even guested with companies. That wasn't a thing when I was raised. We have a very different sense of community within our own Ajah. That's not to say how other groups do it is wrong, but and maybe it's just because Gray is home for me, but just the way we support each other. We're always there for each other. We have our little things like our vendetta coordinator and and all of that.
I have no idea who that could possibly be.
No idea, not at all. Just the way that we're supportive of each other, I think is kind of we're a smaller group, so we're pretty close knit. That would have to be my take with how I've seen things.
Yeah, I would co-sign everything that you just said. For me, Gray is like radical acceptance and support. Not that the other Ajahs and companies don't, the members of those groups don't support each other. Of course they do, but there's just something deeper I have felt about how we do it in Gray. I know that no matter what is going on in my life, be it a happy thing, be it a thing I need to rant about, be it, terrible tragedies, I can go to my Gray family and they will hold all of that and just let me get it all out. As a bit of a probably overly personal anecdote, I lost my dad last year. He had cancer and he was sick for a while, and the Grays were just 130% there for me throughout the whole thing. I spent a lot of time just going on about that whole situation, and everybody was fine with that. And then when he did pass, my Grays sent me a beautiful flower arrangement and a DoorDash gift card to help me get through those first few days. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me. Gray really is a family, and we care for each other like family.
Yeah, I will say, I'm not supposed to be answering questions, probably, given that I'm the interviewer.
We'll let it slide.
But I will say that one of the things that has drawn me personally to Gray is just that level of support and community, and the feeling that, yeah, I can talk about how my day has been shitty or how my day has been great, and you all are there for me and there for everyone else too. And so I really appreciate that. Okay, but how would you say that the site version of the Gray Ajah differs from the book version?
This is an interesting one because as we know, as we have, lamented in the Ajah for a while, we don't get a ton in the books about the Grays. We have some minor side characters who are Grays in the sort of later books in the Sanderson era, if you will. There's a discussion of the Grays really getting into traveling weaves and doing a lot of innovation around there. Of course, we know that the Grays are involved in diplomacy and treaties and keeping the peace, things like that. But there's just not a ton of Gray in the books. So in a way, that's sort of freeing for us, I guess. We don't have a thing that we're trying to live up to. We can have our little group be what we want it to be. And I think we've done that.
Yeah, I would second that. And almost maybe this is just, I haven't reread the books in a minute, so it might be like misremembering the books, but I almost feel like we see more shades of gray, like as ironic as it is to say that, but like if I come to my gray sisters with like a problem, like I'm gonna have the devil's advocate, but I'm gonna have people that maybe like, you might not being rational, but we're here to support you through being irrational while you like work through this. Like there's more shades of gray is the easiest way I can think to say it. And we have pie, and the books don't have that.
I mean,
Yeah, that's a shame for the books. Let's just be real.
It's true. Every instance of the Gray Ajah in the books would be improved if there was more pie.
Absolutely.
If the Gray Ajah had a mascot, what would that mascot be?
Ooh,
Ooh.
it's an interesting one.
So we recently had a new aspirant join our little gray family. And when she aspired, she talked about how gray was like a fluffy cloud. And that just resonated with me so much. And so if I was going to pick a single mascot for the Gray Ajah, it would be like a happy, smiling, fluffy gray cloud.
Good one.
I like it. But I feel like also maybe there's a knife hidden behind the back that cloud can draw out at some point, if need be.
There's lots of room in that fluffy cloud.
Yeah.
Pocket space.
There's lots of room in that fluffy cloud. We're not saying it's not a thundercloud. We're not saying there's not potentially lightning, but like it's fluffy.
Yes. That's a good one. I was gonna go on like a pet thing.
What tradition?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Do it.
I was just gonna say like almost like a pet. We have my dog and we love the pug, and you have your cats. I feel like some sort of animal also represents us, but we all have our greatlings. Like we all have individual mascots. So that one's hard. I can't do a single pet. I like the cloud. We can hide all our pets in the cloud.
All the pets in the cloud.
Yes. What traditions are unique to the Gray Ajah?
Pieing.
Yeah, that is a thing that we do. It's never a requirement.
No.
There's not, if somebody is not into getting a pie in the face, of course, you don't need to, but it is a bit of a tradition that at some point when being welcomed into the Ajah, you do get a pie to the face.
Yes. You get a towel with the pie though. You can have the towel.
Yeah, it's brief. I, in fact, whipped out a full poncho. I had just like a big gray, obviously, plastic poncho that I wore for my pieing because I am prepared.
So what you're saying is I'll have time to take off my glasses then?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's not like...
Yeah, it's not going to be like a surprise.
Yes, because we like to give like a few instructions before, like make sure to hold your breath and then breathe out. Like we don't want you getting whipped cream in your nose.
Nobody wants that.
No.
I appreciate that. What is the favorite event that you've attended with the Gray Ajah?
I'll let Siera go on this because I have attended exactly one event with the Gray Ajah, so it is my favorite and my least favorite as well, I guess, because there's only one. But Siera, please go.
I'm gonna have to say I've been to 3 Annies, but Annie 2022 holds a special place in my heart. That was the first anniversary party I went to where I was not the only Gray, so I had other Grays with me. I shared a room with one of our Grays. Just that event meant like the world to me because you can float in and out of events, and I always knew I could go to one of my Grays and just sit and hang out, and no words needed to be said. It was just, yes, Annie 2022 was my favorite in Tennessee.
Well, that is the one event that I have attended, and I have to co-sign. It was awesome. There were so many Grays there. We had a fantastic time, and like multiple of us got raised.
Yes,
there were lots of pies put into faces at Annie 2022. A good time was had by all.
Yes,
it sounds delightful. Okay, last question. Why are you proud to be part of the Gray Ajah?
You want to go first, or do you want me to?
You go, Siera. I need to think.
Why am I proud to be part? I think the sense of community we've built and just kind of have, it's not necessarily something we've actively tried to build, but sense of community between all of our group. Just sometimes I get tired and I get up to shenanigans and everyone's just like, yes, we love to see it. Like, I'm here to entertain. Or we can have moments where someone's sad and we're there for them in any way we can be. It's just a sense of community. I know I could sign on at 4 a.m, and if one of my grades is on, they're there for me no matter what mood I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know we've been harping on this a little bit on this here podcast, but like the community in Gray is second to none. We're a family and we love each other, and it's pretty heckin' awesome.
It is definitely awesome. As are you both. Thank you so much for coming on to this Gray Ajah takeover of TarValon Talks. It's been a delight, as always, to talk with the both of you.
Thank you so much for having us, Fenya.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of the Ajah takeover episode of TarValon Talks. In our next episode, we will talk with members from the white, blue, and green Ajahs. If you have any questions or suggestions on topics you want us to cover, please feel free to reach out to us at producer.tvt@gmail.com. You can also find us on the forums or in the TarValon Talks channel on the tarvalon.net Discord server. See you soon.